Hello and welcome back to another review from DriveElectric. My name's Jack and today I've got something quite special for you in store. It's the BYD Atto 3. So without further ado, let's take a look at some of the features on it. BYD actually designed the front of the Atto 3 to look like a mean ancient dragon. You get LED lights as standard here, and they've cheekily stolen the LED light bar from the Volkswagen ID range and a few other manufacturers, which to be fair I really like the look of. I think it makes the car look just really quite futuristic and modern. I also like the little flattened chrome here with the shiny BYD logo. It all looks just quite neat, and I wouldn't say like a dragon, but it definitely looks quite cool. The BYD can charge at a maximum DC charge rate of 88 kilowatts. So it's not the fastest, but again, it's just what you need. Given a 60 kilowatt hour battery, it will charge from, well, let's say 30 to 80%, so 50% of the battery in around 30 minutes. The Atto 3 has 18-inch wheels as standard, dual tone black and silver, which look pretty cool. One thing I did want to mention is, you know how I said this was designed off an ancient dragon? Well, we've got some more dragon scales here back on the C-pillar. I think it suits the Atto 3. Now, the back of the car is, in my opinion, one of the best bits about it, but it's also got quite a controversial piece on it. The badge. Why would you have to spell it out? I think if I bought one myself and it wasn't leased or anything, I'd get definitely a bit of dental floss under there and take it off. But again, each to their own. It definitely gets the message out about who this car is and, you know, what they're doing. But yeah, not too keen on it myself. But in terms of the design, we've got a nice chrome strip going across the back, just like we have the front, except this one's not as wide. And then we've also got an LED bar light, which runs across the whole length of the rear of the car. Being a family-orientated SUV, the BYD Atto 3 has around 440 litres of usable boot space, and as you can see, it's got a power tailgate as standard. There's also two nice big side bins to put all your gubbins. Underneath the false floor as well, there's room for your charging cables, of which it comes with a granny charger or home charger, which is obviously 3-pin compatible, and then a Type 2 cable for when you're on the move.
Well, here is the interior of the Atto 3, and yeah, what can I say? Where to start? It's definitely unique. Let's start with the dash, I guess. I mean, it's got this big kind of like wave that droops down onto the panels here. It's got some ribbed material that spreads onto the door panels as well. And BYD actually say that that is based on a gym-inspired feel, and that's supposed to give you a sense of strength and empowerment. Not quite sure I'm feeling it, but it looks pretty cool, and it's all soft touch, which is nice. You've also got some more gym inspired things here. So the air vents are actually meant to represent dumbbells. Again, it's all about the strength feeling. And then this flat armrest here is meant to symbolize a treadmill, I guess, for even sportier feel. All very odd, but it all looks very nice, and it's all made out of nice materials as well. So I mean, yes, you've got some hard plastics and some scratchy bits up there, but the dash itself and this muscle fiber esque material here is all nice to touch, and it's all nice to look at, to be fair, as well. Moving on to the door cards, the spanner looking door handles are meant to represent barbells. Again, it's inspired by the gym feel. And then quite randomly, we've got some strings that are the door cards. Now, I've got a 6-year-old daughter, and if she was sat in the back, I would definitely want to take a scalpel to those, but that's just personal opinion. The speakers on the side of the doors as well are sort of encased in the door handle itself, which is quite cool. And then the door handle actually is not a handle, it's more like a kind of rocker, which you pull back to open and close the door, which again, different, but quite cool. The center console here, I actually really like what they've done with this. Quite a funny inspired gear lever. It actually is meant to represent a jet fighter, and the power lever. Again, it's all about feeling empowered. Again, not feeling it myself, but it looks quite cool and it works well. It's got a nice rock to it, and the parking brake is situated just under the handle, so nice and tucked away. The screen is, I've got to say, really impressive. One thing that does separate this screen out to many others is the fact that it can rotate between landscape and portrait. Now, the first word that comes to mind is gimmick, but I guess some people would prefer having a portrait screen. It would make the transition to, you know, having a big screen in the center a bit easier, I suppose, if you could change the way that you orientated it. So again, that would appeal to some people. Personally, I don't think it does much. I would just leave it in landscape, because I do find when you're in the driving position, the top of the screen just cuts off a little bit of the road, which obviously is not ideal. One thing I do really like about what they've done with the screen is the climate settings. So again, a lot of the hesitation from moving to an EV or moving to a big screen is that, oh, well, I want buttons for my climate control, you know, I like old school buttons, which is fine. But actually what they've done here is made it so easy, and it's always on the screen. Again, very Tesla-esque. So you just push the button here and you can either scroll or tap and adjust the temperatures on either side as you wish. And the buttons up the top are pretty self-explanatory as well. You've got like recirculation on and off, front demister, rear demister, max aircon, aircon on and off. It's pretty self-explanatory. What I like is as well, there's various ways which you can increase or decrease the fan speed. So it's not like there's just one button, and it's not like you have to tap an individual block. You can literally just tap any block you want, or you can slide it. So well done, BYD, really, really good. I like what they've done with that, because the annoying thing is when moving to a big screen, if the manufacturer's made it more difficult, you instantly think, well, why have you made it less convenient for me? Yes, it's nice having a big pretty screen, but if it doesn't work, that's the main reason you would go for it, right? But they've done it really well here, so well done, BYD. I should probably mention the second screen as well, which is situated in front of me. Quite a lot different in terms of resolution and yeah, just general sort of look to the center screen, but obviously it doesn't need to be that much more detailed. It's got your speed, it's got the power usage, the mileage, your percentage battery, which is good, so it's all there, which is nice. And again, you've actually got outside temperature in the top right. And also it displays your mode and your level of regen braking. So clicking this little roller here, or the little button, will either change it from standard to high, and then you've got eco, normal and sport as well, just to remind you of what mode you're in. The steering wheel itself as well, got a really nice feel to it, you know, nicely bound leather with red stitching. You've got an array of buttons as well on here, which again aren't haptic feedback like some manufacturers have done, which can be a little bit distracting when you're driving because you don't quite know where you are, whereas these are, well, it's all obvious what they do. At the click of a button, you can bring up all of the vehicle's cameras. Now, I should probably say that all three specs come with a 360 camera. So it comes in active, comfort and design. This is the design spec, so the top spec. And yeah, it's really cool. You can basically select any camera you want, so you can view the entire vehicle from the screen. It also has a neat little feature where it's got a 3D image of your car, and at that as well, you can actually then change what angle you see the car from. Again, the word gimmick comes to mind, but it is pretty cool to have. On the whole, it's really nice and crisp cameras, well positioned, and it gives you a really good view of the entire vehicle. The seats as well in this car are really quite comfortable. Obviously they're made out of sustainable vegan leather. I say obviously, it would kind of not be right nowadays, I suppose, to have actual leather, but you can't tell the difference anyway, so it's fine. And they're perforated, which makes a difference. You don't see a lot of vehicles with perforated leather. They've got some nice red stitching as well, and some red lining on the sides, again, which kind of matches this blue, white and red theme that's going on throughout the car. In terms of storage, you've got a nice big center armrest here. You've got two cup holders here, the door pockets with the guitar strings on, and then there is a wireless charger here too. So again, you'd kind of expect to have a wireless charging port. There aren't two, there's just the one, but it's nice and convenient down there and you can reach it pretty easily. BYD have also put in a panoramic sunroof, which does open, but I'm not going to try that today, as you can see, for obvious reasons. It's raining quite heavily here. And there's also a sun visor, which you can retract using these little touch sensitive buttons on the above center console. There's also a couple of puddle lights which you can activate by pushing a button. Again, nicely made, nicely finished, just kind of blends in with everything else. It does seem that there is a theme that BYD have kind of tried to please a huge variety of people in this car, in terms of giving it, you know, the secondary screen, which, by the way, actually moves with the steering wheel. So unlike some you know, displays, center displays here, or say driver displays, where, you know, if you're quite tall or you like to sit quite far back, you move the steering wheel and you can't see the screen anymore. This one moves with it. Again, kind of similar to other brands, other manufacturers such as the Volkswagen range, that do that, which again I think is a real positive, because there's nothing more annoying than getting in your comfy position and then you can't see your driver information. So again, good shout on the whole, really good interior. Well done, BYD. Right, let's have a little look in the back. So let's have a look what it's like in the back. Nice. One thing instantly I noticed is that I've got room to actually put my feet underneath the front seat, which is a common design error, I should say, in some other EVs, but it's obviously because the battery pack is higher up. But no, comfy back here. I really like looking at the one-piece seats as well, with a little kind of sport hole through it. Very Tesla-esque in terms of the design. But no, it looks good. Right, lift off. So, first impressions, quiet and smooth. It definitely absorbs the bumps in the road very well, and there's very little cabin noise. One thing I would say is the steering feels a bit disconnected from the road. It feels as if you turn and then the vehicle turns. However, you can change the steering settings from the main menu. I suppose if you're driving around the city, that's not necessarily much of an issue, because you want to be able to turn with, your little finger effectively, but I prefer a bit of a heavier wheel, so I'm definitely going to leave it in sport. But the suspension is really forgiving. It really does absorb the bumps quite well. And in terms of the throttle response, it's as you'd expect, So the power in this car comes from a 60 kilowatt hour battery, which is powered by a single motor at the front, so it's front wheel drive, just like most other EVs are in this segment. You do get a little bit of torque steer on acceleration. It's a little disconcerting when you're accelerating, but again, it's not a deal breaker. You only feel it when you're in the sportier settings. At the moment I'm an Eco, and it's a really nice gentle throttle response, so you can really just waft along nicely. Now, one thing that is really positive is the turning circle. It's incredibly tight, and that of course will help with parking in tighter areas and car parks and whatnot. Visibility is good as well. You've got quite a squared off side mirror on the inside, but the outside is nice and rounded, so you get a nice view of the road, which I suppose you don't need to see your own car, do you? I got to say, there's a lot of really convenient little features on this car. I am quite liking it. On the whole, it's a really nice place to be. Not only do you have this quirky, funky looking cabin, but actually, as a driver's car, it does exactly what it says on the tin. It doesn't set the world alight, but it doesn't need to. It's a 5-seater, mid-sized, family-orientated SUV. But at the same time, if you were just on your own driving it around, you've got 200 horsepower there to play with, and it handles the road quite nicely. So in terms of overall verdict, well done, BYD.
So to quickly summarise then, the Atto 3 is a comfortable, convenient and quirky little family SUV. I'm really looking forward to seeing it on the UK roads as it makes its mark as the new kid on the block. I'm Jack, I'm from DriveElectric, thanks for watching. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe.